Good morning, guys. Tony Maritato here, licensed physical therapist, and I want to talk to you today about picking the perfect pickleball paddle. Picking the perfect pickleball paddle for anybody with shoulder pain. So shoulder pain could be caused by several reasons. Maybe you have osteoarthritis, which is a condition that affects the joint surfaces, the cartilage inside the shoulder joint. Maybe you have a rotator cuff tear, either a partial tear or full thickness tear, or maybe you just have other problems coming from the structures around the shoulder. We know a lot of people who have referred pain to the shoulder from the neck. We know people that have problems with the biceps, which is the long muscle in the front of the arm. There's lots of things that can contribute to shoulder pain. If you haven't had an orthopedic evaluation with either a physical therapist or an orthopedic surgeon, of course, go find the cause of your problem. But looking at 3 criteria to choose the best paddle for shoulder pain, I want to start with talking about a paddle with a nice big sweet spot. So the sweet spot on the paddle is that balance point where when you hit the pickleball, you don't even know that you hit it. It's so smooth, it's so balanced, there's no vibration, there's no stress that travels through the handle into your grip, into your wrist, your elbow, or your shoulder. You can find pickleball paddles that emphasize a large sweet spot on Amazon. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the description of this video for some of the paddles that I found. But having that large sweet spot will definitely reduce some of the stress that travels up the arm into the shoulder. The second thing I want to talk about is the right ergonomic grip. So every pickleball paddle at all different price points are going to have a different grip. Some are soft, some are firm, some are large, some are small, of course. Depending on your body size, your hand size, you're going to choose the right paddle for your grip. Usually you can break these down into 3 main sizing. There are some great websites with size charts. I'll post a link in the description of this video to help you figure out, at least from the chart, what might be the best diameter. But I also want you to think about just the feel and function of the grip in your hand. I would never purchase a pickleball paddle without holding it, without feeling it, without moving it around a little bit, because we're all going to have different hand shapes. While we may all have 5 fingers, those fingers are going to be shaped differently. Some are thick, some are thin, some are long, some are short. But picking the best ergonomic grip for your pickleball paddle will also help reduce some of the stress that travels up the arm into the shoulder. And then finally, the main question that most people want to know about is, how heavy should the paddle be? And while everybody is different, I can't make a recommendation that would be appropriate for a male pickleball player who's 6'3" and 180 pounds, because that recommendation is not going to be the same for a female pickleball player who might be 5'1" and under 100 pounds. So the whole idea about weight is, we know that the heavier the paddle is, the more inertia that paddle will generate, the more momentum. It'll make it easier to hit balls harder, but it takes more force to generate the speed through the paddle. Of course, a lighter paddle will travel more quickly, but it doesn't have the mass, the momentum behind it at impact. So depending on what's causing your shoulder pain, depending on you as a human, what kind of body type you have, how strong you are, how weak you are, you're going to really have to experiment just a little bit. But what I would say is, find a paddle that allows you to either participate in a typical practice or play a match without feeling significant fatigue or increased pain in the shoulder by the end of it. A lot of times in my clinic, I'm fortunate. I am a brand new, just out of the gate pickleball player. I have virtually no experience, so I'm not coming to you as a pickleball pro in any way. But I have had the fortune of treating a lot of individuals who are passionate about the sport of pickleball. And what I found is that it almost doesn't matter what the shoulder pain feels like while you play, because many players will not actually have shoulder pain while playing. It'll hurt before, it'll be stiff, it'll be sore before they play, but once they warm up and start playing, man, forget it. They're just going at it. The shoulder does not affect them. But then what happens is, 2 hours later that night, later the next day, the soreness really kicks in. And so when we're looking at picking the best pickleball paddle for shoulder pain, you want to pay attention not just to the performance, But you also want to pay attention to how you're feeling that night and the next day. If you're feeling more pain and more soreness, you probably overdid it. Maybe you have the wrong paddle. Maybe you need to experiment. Borrow paddles from friends, from colleagues, from other people that are on the courts, just to see if a different paddle in your hand makes a difference. If you have more questions about pickleball injury, injury prevention, injury rehabilitation, please leave those questions in the comments and I'll gladly make a video for you. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, check out the website, and I'll catch you on the next video.